God bless you guys.
The House will come to order. This morning, the pledge will be led by Jaden Bowery, Devin Novak, Chloe Dare, and Gabriella Mullica, and they are from the Studio School, North Glen, Colorado, and they are guests of Representative Mullica.
Please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We salute you.
Mr. Randall, please call the roll. That was...
Representatives Arndt, Baisley, Benavides, Benavides, yeah, give her a moment. She's here, but she's excused.
Excused.
Bird, Bockenfeld, Representative Benavides is present. Buck,
Excused.
Buckner, Wentale, Caravale, Carver, Catlin, Champion, Coleman,
Let's go.
Cutter, Duran, Escar, Exum, Froelich, Garnett, Geithner, Gonzalez Gutierrez, Gray, Herod, excused, Holtorf, Putin, Humphrey, Representative Buck is present. Humphrey,
Representative Humphrey, excused.
Jackson,
I know she's here.
Hardcast Lewis, Kennedy, Kipp, Kraft-Tharp, Landgraf, Larson, Liston, Lontine, McCluskey, McKean, McLaughlin, Melton, Michelson Janae, Mullica, Neville, Pelton, Ransom, Rich, Roberts, Sane, Sandridge, Singer, Sirota, excused. Oh, Representative Sirota is present. Snyder. I have it, yeah, it's on the speaker's desk. Snyder. Excused. Soper. Sullivan. Tipper. Titone. A. Valdez. D. Valdez. Van Winkle. Weissman. Williams. Wilson. Woodrow. Young.
Will you save us? Oh, Sorota's doing it. Never mind. Thank you.
Madam Speaker Becker.
You're a lifesaver.
I will always be your life.
With 62 present and 3 excused, we have a quorum. Representative Sirota.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move that the Journal of Thursday, March 5th, 2020 be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
Could we please lower the volume of your voices in the chamber? You have heard the motion that the Journal of March 6th be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk. I'm sorry, it's March 5th. All those approved, say yay. All those opposed, no. The motion passes. Thank you. I know we have a lot of people in the chamber today, but we want you to be able to hear everything that's going on, so please lower your voices in the chamber.
Do you want to do that first?
Thank you. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move that we suspend House Rule 39B for the purpose of permitting former Representative Doug Friednash admittance to the House floor on the occasion of late Steve Farber's tribute.
Thank you. Madam Speaker. Thank you. If there are no objections, House Rule 39B will be suspended. Madam Speaker and Mr. Majority Leader. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I ask that the tribute that we have be read at length.
State of Colorado, in memoriam. The House of Representatives convened in the 72nd General Assembly hereby extends sincere condolences and expressions of sympathy to the Farber family on the passing of Steve Farber. The members of the Colorado House of Representatives remember Denver native Steve Farber, who passed away on Wednesday, March 4th at the age of 76. A true mover and shaker in Colorado, Steve is remembered for his wisdom and effectiveness in delivering results for Denver and for the state of Colorado. A co-founder of Brownstein Hyatt Farber Schreck, a law and lobbying firm that today employs more than 600 people, Steve's guidance and assistance was frequently sought by CEOs, politicians, community leaders, and friends alike. Steve was known for his leadership, his work ethic, and entrepreneurial spirit, and was universally admired and respected by those who knew and worked with him. The impact of his work reached people all across the state of Colorado and the country. Steve's legacy will live on, though the firm and the countless number of individuals he mentored, including many in the room here today and those who came before us. Tribute on request of Speaker Casey Becker, given the 6th day of March 2020, State Capitol in Denver.
Thank you, members. Please be seated. I'm sure many of you in the chamber knew Steve Farber. He has a long career in policy and politics in Colorado and also throughout the country. And he passed away just a couple days ago. And as a Democrat in Colorado politics, I really felt, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And there was one day a couple years ago when I was at lunch at the Palm and someone introduced me to Steve Farber and he said, "Oh, I know who you are." And I thought, oh my gosh, he knows who I am? Somehow I must actually now recognize that I'm a real representative because Steve Farber knows who I am. He had an impact as the chair of the DNC that came to Colorado, came to Denver when Obama was first nominated. And I think for a lot of Democrats in Colorado, we all know where we were that night, in particular when the DNC was here, and Steve led that whole effort. His impact in Colorado and to many of the things that we work on is really everlasting. And so his passing is very impactful for the state. We're so happy that you all can be here as we share this tribute with you, and we're so sorry for your loss.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. And members, you know, when somebody passes, you always take some time to think through their impact on you. And it was something that I did over the last 2 nights. And Steve Farber had an impact on my life over the last 30 years. My parents told this story of when I was 5 years old. At the time, it was the Brownstein, Hyatt, Farber, and Strickland law firm. It was small. It was 1987. They were just friends who grew up together who started this law firm in Colorado when Denver was still a cow town. They were having a barbecue in Tom Strickland's backyard, and he had this big koi pond. I'm 5 years old. I'm running around. I fell in face first into the koi pond, and it was Steve Farber who yanked me out with his big smile, and my parents quickly shuttled me out of the backyard and out of the barbecue before I, had sort of a meltdown. But that was, what I didn't know is that was the beginning of 30 years of interaction with Steve. I then thought about it, and I told Brad, his son, who's here today. He's, I think, 1 year older than I am, but, Brad and I played in the state championship against each other in tennis in the late, 2000 maybe, 1999. And so my dad and Steve are sitting in the bleachers together, and I wish I could tell you that I won that day, but I didn't. Brad won, and I still wish I could wind back the clock and have a rematch. But it was Steve Farber who was the first person, when I stepped off the court, to pull me aside, to pat me on the back, to tell me to keep my chin up high, to tell me that I did a good job. And again, not really knowing at that point who Steve Farber was. But as I started to intertwine into the public policy and political world in Colorado, first as a volunteer, then as a staffer, many of you can probably remember when you started, and there would be these giants who would walk into the room, who would stop, everyone would stop, see who they were, would line up to start shaking their hand, talking to them, and that's who Steve Farber was. And as a volunteer and as a staffer, I would obviously be off on the side, and Steve would always take the time to stop, ask me how I was doing, shake my hand, say, I'm glad you're in this business, there's important work to do. And he helped encouraging me to keep going on and on through to the point of now in the state legislature, we would talk at length about policies that were down here, and we would work together on important issues that he cared deeply about, important things like the foundation that he started. But I think one thing you measure a man by is the success and the children that they raise. And Steve's 3 sons are here, and I don't know his eldest son as well, Greg, as I do Brent and Brad, but Brent and Brad are carrying on Steve's legacy here in Denver. They are leading businessmen who are helping develop Denver, helping Denver move into the 21st century in a way that Steve did in the 80s and the 90s and in the early 2000s. And it's Brent who has the vision for the project. It's Brad who's the lawyer who helps put it all together, but they work together and they carry on Steve's legacy so well. And so I'll never forget how Steve Farber impacted me, and Denver and Colorado will never forget the legacy that he leaves behind. He turned Denver from a cow town into one of the leading economies in the entire country, and we're so thankful for his contributions, and it's such an honor today for me to be standing here and having a tribute at his passing.
Thank you. Representative Singer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, Pro Tem. So I don't have any koi pond stories. I have to admit, I don't know if I spent a lot of time with Steve Farber, but what I do know is his legacy, because one of my interns actually was one of his personal assistants. And for those of you who know me, I need a lot of help. And so had I been invited to that backyard with that koi pond, I'd probably still be falling into it today. And this is why I'm so grateful that I'm able to have the opportunity to come up here and tell you a little bit about my experience with him, because his legacy goes beyond simply the people that he met, but the people that he worked with and those people that he met, and how those individuals carry themselves has created a legacy that has created a legacy of comity, a legacy of respect, a legacy of curiosity and interest without the conflict that we oftentimes see in our political system today. And when I think about my intern, and I think about the precision and the grace and the empathy that she approaches this very high-pressure job, and the fact that, you know, most of us can drop that name, right? Brownstein, Hyatt, Farber, and Schreck, and people will turn their heads. I've never heard her drop that name once, because there's humility in this process that we often also forget. And so I don't know if it's appropriate to do this now, because I see Representative Michael St-Jeannet has some words to share as well, but the Farber family, which goes far beyond bloodlines, wanted me to share these words, that on Wednesday, Colorado lost a legend when Steve Farber passed away. Many of his colleagues in this room knew him, worked with him, were mentored by him in some way, and felt the impact he had on our great state. Throughout his career, he was a respected and accomplished leader and inspired change, not only at the firm he founded, but throughout Colorado and across the nation. I think what many of us will remember about Steve is his leadership, work ethic, and entrepreneurial spirit. And if it's appropriate now, I'd like you to join me in a moment of silence to honor this great Coloradan.
A moment of silence is granted.
All right, thank you, members.
Thank you, Representative Singer. Representative Michael St-Jeannet.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to add a couple of words. As a Jewish communal professional, I came to Colorado in 1995, and of course, one of the first names you hear is Steve Farber. And so I had been around him a lot since 1995, but I was just kind of the behind the scenes, like not seen person. And then I got elected, and I think I was at the Denver Health Gala, and we're taking pictures, and Steve was standing with his back to me, and the photographer knew me and knew Steve, but Steve didn't know me, and the photographer was like, "Oh, let's get a picture with the two of you." And I just remember how generous and gracious he was to take a picture, because he was kind of looking at me quizzically like, I think you look familiar, but do I know you? But it was his generosity was not just in what he gave to the broader community, the deep impact on the Jewish community, the Jewish community West Side Story, which just is the best West Side Story that there is. I didn't want to miss a moment to add words of honor and gratitude for your being here today, for what you have given to my community, to the broader community. And when they say, may his memory be a blessing, it sure is. Thank you.
Assistant Minority Leader Neville, or Minority Leader Neville.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, obviously, I think it's probably no secret that Steve Farber and I were on the opposite issues of a lot of different things. But I want to say he was always very kind and very reasonable. And there were times that when I often needed help from the other side to maybe accomplish something, he was one of the first people that would be willing to reach out and willing to help, to find that common ground, to get some reasonable stuff done. And so I didn't have a lot of interaction with them, but when I did, it was really great and respectful, and just his reasonableness and his way to just kind of cut through a lot of the nonsense and get straight to the point, I always really respected.
Majority Leader Garnett. Oh, I'm sorry, Representative Gonzalez Gutierrez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, I never had the opportunity to meet Steve Farber, but I did see something come across my Facebook page earlier this week, and that was learning that he was a North Viking alumni in North Denver. I represent House District 4, which is in North Denver. I'm also three generations North High School. And I just wanted to read the I Am a Viking post that was written. It says, Brownstein, Hyatt, Farber, and Schreck president, founding partner Steve Farber, is not only one of Denver's most prominent businessmen, but he is also a proud Viking. Starting out as North's basketball captain and head boy, he was counted the Denver Nuggets, Denver Broncos, and Colorado Avalanche among his legal clients. He was the co-chair of the Democratic National Convention Host Committee in 2008. Steve is active in many causes, including the American Transplant, Children's Diabetes, and the Denver Health Foundation, and he's eager to inspire future Vikings to reach their greatest potential. So members, I just wanted to share that. I think it's always great to know that there are great people that come from all over our city, and honored to have you all here today.
Madam Speaker Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I just want to say a few words about Mr. Farber. My second year here as a new state representative, I ran a bill to raise awareness about living donors for kidney transplants. So as I was working on this bill and doing the stakeholder process, Mr. Farber came to my office, and because I knew his name, I said, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to meet you, you're famous. And he said, I'm just a regular person, Representative Buckner. And he was so humble and such a good person, and he really helped me develop a bill that is now something that everyone knows about. And he also founded the American Transplant Association, which is quite an accomplishment because he received a kidney from his son, and so he knew the importance of living donors and how important that is to our society. So to the Farbers, you have an amazing legacy, and he was such an instrumental person in my life as a new representative, and he gave me a book and he autographed it, and now that book is going to even mean more to me because of his donations to society and the fact that living donors are now going to be increased through his association. So thank you, and I'm so sorry for your loss.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House stand in a recess to introduce the guests who are in the chamber.
A recess is granted.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So, members, if you could just hold your applause, we're going to introduce all of the guests who are here. Cindy Farber is here, his wife, Greg Farber, his eldest son, Brent and Julie Farber, Brad and Carly Farber, Norm Brownstein is here, Rick Sapkin is here, Rich Bennison is here, Doug Friednash is here as well, Barry Hirschfield is here, Aaron Hyatt is here. These are all people, best friends, who helped really hold up Steve Farber family. Thank you all so much for being here, and we're so sorry for your loss.
Thank you for joining us today at the Capitol, and thank you for being part of an important legacy to Denver and all of Colorado. The House will be in a brief recess to say condolences to the guests. The House will come back to order. Members, are there any more announcements or introductions? Representative Valdez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have a tribute and would like to ask that it be read at length.
The House of Representatives, convened in the 72nd General Assembly, hereby extends sincere commendations to Annual World Lymphedema Day. Lymphedema is a disease that occurs when the body's lymphatic drainage system is damaged, blocked, or does not develop properly, and the lymphatic fluid within a given area, such as the arm, leg, torso, head, or neck, is unable to drain properly. This results in extreme swelling that impairs mobility function and can cause pain and significantly impair quality of life for the affected person. The World Health Organization estimates that over 150 million people worldwide have secondary lymphedema, and an additional 120 million people worldwide are infected with lymphedemic filariasis, which leads to lymphedema. The members of the Colorado House of Representatives are proud to recognize and commend the Lymphatic Education and Research Network on this World Lymphedema Day for their continued efforts at treating and assisting those in our communities and around the world who experience this debilitating disease. The organization has made great strides in lymphatic disease advocacy, and we are proud to recognize the tireless advocates and healthcare providers who spend so much of their time and resources battling this issue that affects so many. Tribute on request of Representative Alex Valdez, given the 6th day of March 2020, State Capitol in Denver.
Representative Valdez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and members, please be seated. Today is World Lymphedema Day, and what today is all about is raising awareness about this, which is lymphedema is when the lymphatic system is not functioning correctly, and it causes a very painful swelling, and it is very widespread, and knowledge about this condition is low. So what we want to do is we want to raise awareness in hopes that somehow someday we can see improvement in these folks' lives. And today we're joined in the chamber by some folks that have lymphedema, and so this affects 11% of women worldwide, over 150 million people. So today, just take a moment to be aware that there are so many people within our communities who are struggling with lymphedema, and let's keep them and our hopes up that there will someday be a cure. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Valdez. Representative Soper. Oh, okay. Representative Gonzalez-Gutierrez. And Representative Buckner.
Oh, no, Herod. Representative Herod.
Oh, and Representative Herod.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We have a tribute and ask that it be read at length.
The Senate and House of Representatives convened in the 72nd General Assembly hereby extend sincere commendations to Colorado first-generation college student recognition. The Colorado General Assembly fully supports colleges and universities exploring new ways to help families and students unfamiliar with the college process. Colleges and universities serving first-generation students dedicate increased time and resources to coach and mentor these students. March 6, 2020 celebrates first-generation college students at the Capitol to bring attention to the importance of recruiting, enrolling, mentoring, and coaching first-generation students, and further prioritizing funding designed to support these students. On request of Representatives Leslie Herod and Serena Gonzalez-Gutierrez and Senator Dominic Moreno, given the 6th day of March 2020, State Capitol in Denver.
Representative Gonzalez-Gutierrez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, please be seated. I just want to welcome the representatives and students who are among the first generation in their families to attend college. Members, I actually know this firsthand. I am also first generation in my family to attend college, and so is my husband. My husband was the first in his entire family to attend college, and he attended Colorado State University, where he got his degree in civil engineering. And that was one of the things that our families really advocated for was for us to have the opportunity to attend college. And my two young daughters are here this morning with us, Elena and Talia, and I thought that this was a perfect time for them to hear about the importance and opportunities when it comes to gaining a higher education, because higher education is a powerful tool for students. And we know that first generation students are oftentimes come from are people of color, and they could greatly benefit from seeing successful, strong people of color supporting funding for their higher education journeys. Higher education leaders across Colorado recognize the societal workforce imperatives of engaging first generation students in the importance of pursuing a higher education credential after high school. The Colorado General Assembly supports colleges and universities exploring new creative ways to help families and students who are unfamiliar with the college application, financial aid, and enrollment process. Members, I just want to acknowledge the folks that are here today and turn it over to
Representative Herod. Thank you, Madam Speaker, and to Representative Gonzalez-Gutierrez's daughters, hello. I'm sure you're so proud of your mom and your dad for providing even better opportunities for you than they had, and I know your family is so proud. I have to give a shout out to your mom and dad, who I know worked really hard to ensure that you're here, and they are amazing. But I want to also, please join me in welcoming representatives and students who are among first generation in their families. We've got folks from Colorado Mesa University, Metro State University, and Adams State University. Let's give them a round of applause. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Representative Soper.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker. I, too, want to recognize Colorado Mesa University, who's here as part of First Generation Day at the Capitol. And I also wanted to recognize former Majority Leader Tim Foster, who's in the House again. It is great to see students who are actually from my alma mater, Colorado Mesa University, even if this morning when I was visiting with them, they thought that I graduated eons ago, which is not entirely true. It was only a few years ago. But just hearing their stories of being the first in their family to ever attend college is really moving. And it's really inspiring, because what you're able to do by going to college and changing the course of where your family is will not only impact your family, it will impact your community as well. And it's that type of determination, that raw guts and spirit, that will show that you will be successful in life, because you took a bold step to go to college. And you took a bold step to also be here at the Capitol today. So I wanted to welcome you and thank you for being here in the House of Representatives. Thank you.
Assistant Minority Leader Van Winkle.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Special shout out to folks from where I graduated from college, Metro State University. I see folks here, there, up there. And if it's okay, Madam Speaker, I'll tell one quick story here about one student from Metro State who is here today, Shekinah Wise. She has faced more challenges than most in her path to a degree. In addition to being a first-gen student at Metro State University of Denver, Shekinah is a single mom who is intermittently homeless in her teens and 20s. As she finishes her final classes before earning her degree in communications design this May, Shekinah said she wishes she'd known more about the resources available to her earlier in her college career. Many first-gen students share that feeling, sometimes they just don't know what they don't know. She has persisted to her final semester of school, spanning 7 years as a part-time student, including a year off after the birth of her second child. Her goal is to end the cycle of government dependency and provide for her children long-term. She kind of recently said, quote, "What's been the key through it all is seeing the vision. The vision for me is I'm no longer going to be in this perpetual state of assistance. Not that you or anyone should ever not ask for help, but I'll be the one being able to help rather than the other way around." So special thanks to all the Metro State Roadrunners here today. MSU Denver has more than 10,000 first-gen students enrolled. More than half of the students at Metro State are first-gen students. Welcome to the Capitol.
Other members on this resolution? Representative Singer. On this tribute. Representative Singer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Just a minute. Members, could you please be quiet in the chamber and off on the sides of the chamber? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I appreciate that. I'm going to, in standing in support of this tribute today, I have two students I'd like to talk to you just briefly about. The first is my constituent, Danielle Holmes, who's a first-generation student at Metro State University of Denver. She experienced homelessness and domestic violence before finding refuge in higher education. She has said, until I was able to find myself in school, I was lost. I was a lost soul for many, many years, and this is the foundation I always needed and always craved. At MSU Denver, Danielle received support through the EPIC Scholars Program, which is, by the way, holding a fundraiser at Chipotle on March 30th. And on 16th Street Mall, we'll see you at 5 o'clock, which supports independent students who have gone through foster care or are self-supporting. After she finishes her political science degree in May, she wants to shape public policy related to food and housing insecurity. She has already influenced state legislation as a student. Danielle worked with myself on House Bill 1319 in 2018, which established the former Foster Care Youth Steering Committee within the Department of Human Services. And she credits her education with stoking her passion for helping others, and she doesn't plan on leaving school anytime soon. She's applying to a dozen law schools, so obviously our relationship there is something that she hasn't figured out, that you're not supposed to apply to law school. But other than that, she's doing a great job. So, and on top of that, I wanted to introduce another MSU student, Rachel Levin, who I just met here today. You know, we just met in the gallery, and we talked just very briefly. She's using her own lived experience to pursue a degree in social work. And I want to say, when I first ran for office, I believed that the rules of the game are oftentimes written by the people least affected by them. And too often, we don't bring those folks to the table that have that lived experience. And Rachel is not only doing that through going to MSU, but is pursuing a degree in social work. College isn't for the elite. College is where you become elite. So thank you for joining the elite by doing what you're doing today. And in my term-limited year here, I'm so happy to see the next generation of social workers standing up and speaking up. Please join me in welcoming both Danielle and Rachel.
Representative on this one, Representatives Rich, Will, and Catlin. Representative Rich.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want,
Speaker.
boy, I just elevated you way up there.
No, that's a demotion. It's all good.
I wanted to take this time to welcome the first-gen students from Colorado Mesa University. I'm very proud that CMU is in House District 55, and also want to offer my welcome to the president of CMU to the House as well. Thank you for being here. I know some of you are in the gallery, but some of you are standing right over there. So thank you.
Representative Will.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I want to give a shout out to a couple of CMU students that I met down on the first floor today that are from my district. Juan Vasquez, where's Juan at? And then the other one is Hector Salas Juan is from Newcastle, my town, and Hector's from Rifle. And I also need to give a shout out to Mimi. She's not from my district, but she's disappointed that I wasn't gonna give her a shout out. So thank you, Mimi. And for all CMU students, would please join me. Mav up.
Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's an honor to serve with you.
It's an honor to serve with you, Representative.
Thank you. Well, I wanted to talk about Mesa College, where I went, and talk about the fact that I was also the first member of my family to go to college. It took me a whole lot of years and a whole lot of tries, but I got the job done because Mesa College was there and helped me with that. I'd like to say welcome to the people here from Montrose and from Olathe, but mostly I wanted to say you folks that are in college for the first generation don't realize and don't know how many people you are influencing right now. There are people in your community, people in your family, people in your neighborhood that are watching you, that are impressed that you would take this on and try it with all of the effort that you've given it. Never forget, You are influencing people even though you may not be aware of it. Hold your head high. We are very proud of you for taking on this kind of effort for the betterment of your life and the betterment of your communities. I want you to know that personally I am proud of each and every one of you. Keep it up. You will be the people that are here. You will be the people that lead. Never give up. Keep it up. Here we go. Thank you.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I want to acknowledge real quickly a constituent of mine from House District 41, and I know I'm going to mispronounce her name, Bethlem Tewodros Te, who is a MSU Denver student who was born and raised in Ethiopia. Throughout her educational journey, she's always sought to have high education standards because she believes education is the only thing that can transform someone's mindset in life. She's majoring in computer science at MSU Denver because she believes it brings opportunities to third world countries, and it's the future language that will link all countries together. And I find that really inspiring. I could not agree more with my colleague, Representative Catlin, when I say that you first-generation students are an inspiration to us. I'm a second-generation college grad, and it was me and my siblings that were inspired by my parents and aunts and uncles and all of you who really took that first step in that journey to show that it is possible and that you can achieve your dreams. And without you all, you wouldn't be inspirations to us who are now living out our dreams as well. So thank you for being here, and thank you, first-generation students.
Other members on this resolution, Representative Valdez.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I want to welcome all the first-generation students here today, especially Adams State University up in the gallery. You know, appreciate all that you do, especially one individual, Lindsay Sandoval. She's a student and a first generation from Antonito, and she does a lot. Not only working on the family farm, feeding the lambs, feeding the calves, putting up hay every day. You do a lot not only with your friends, so keep that up because you guys are the next individuals who continue to grow our communities all over, especially the San Luis Valley, especially the great state of Colorado. So thank the first generations for being here. Let's give them another warm welcome. Thank you.
Representative Valdez A.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I just want to recognize the road runners are here today, Metro State University. I'm so proud to be the representative of this university, which has so many first-time college students and making a massive impact on our state. So I just wanted to come up here in the well today. Also like to let everyone know that the president, Janine Davison, is here today. And keep up the good work, road runners, and we're so very proud of you down here.
Thank you for joining us, President Davidson. Anyone else on this resolution? Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I too want to congratulate all the first-generation college attendees and graduates. My message is this to these great young people that are in this chamber and all of the people. We have a great country. We have a country that so strongly promotes higher education that we will do everything and anything to provide that opportunity to anyone that has the desire to go to college. I have Lamar Community College in my district. I have Trinidad State Junior College in my district. And I've been adopted by Otero Junior College that is surrounded by 3 counties of my district. And I will tell you, you are blessed and privileged to be in the United States of America and to have these great educational opportunities that will lead to greater life and greater economy. Please remember that you will inspire young people behind you and send the message of the greatness of this country and the greatness of your opportunities and spread that to your families as you grow and raise your own families. But never forget, now I have a different message. When you graduate from college, don't try to enter what I call the elite class. Have a mentality of service to all. Be humble. Take your education and do great things for your country, your state, your community, and your fellow citizens. That is the message that I send to you. Try to help everybody that you can. Help your country by helping the economy. Try to lift people up. Try to lift everybody up in a way that empowers them. We often hear the hand up versus the handout. You've empowered yourselves by your education, and many people around you in your lives don't either see that opportunity or have someone to help them gain that opportunity. So my message is to reach out to those people, take your success, make it go viral, and good luck to all of you, and I'm very proud to be surrounded by and be amongst you. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Cutter.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. It is an honor to serve with you.
It is an honor to serve with you, Representative.
Thank you. I would be remiss not to give a shout out to the Roadrunners as well. I never think about this, but I too am a first generation student, college grad, and it made all the difference for me, and I'm so pleased to have been able to get such a wonderful education from MSU, and I know other fine universities are represented here today, so shout out to all of you for working hard and achieving your dreams. And I will mention too that Metro State University has 4 board members currently that are next gen or first gen, and 10,000 students. So kudos to all of you, and keep up the hard work. Thanks for being here today.
Madam Speaker Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. We're going to switch from the universities to today is International Women's Day. Yes, 2020. An equal world is an enabled world. An equal world is an enabled world, and celebrating women's achievements today is really important. We also want to raise the awareness about bias against women and take action for equality. Celebrating women's achievements and increasing visibility while calling out inequality is key. The story of women's struggle for equality belongs to no single feminist, nor to any one organization, but to the collective efforts of all who care about human rights. So make International Women's Day your day, and do what you can to truly make a positive difference for women. And I have some guests here in their native attire and headdress, and I would like for all of you to stand because they're here to celebrate International Women's Day. And ladies, you look beautiful.
Thank you, Representative Buckner, and thank you and welcome here to the Capitol for International Women's Day. Any other announcements or introductions? Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and members. I just want to give you an update on calendar for today. We are not going to do third reading. We are going to move, after we read reports, we're going to move a special orders calendar that has just one addition to it, House Bill 1307. We provided the list yesterday, so a lot of people have the list. There would just be one addition to that. So if you have any questions, feel free to come up and let me know.
Mr. Randall, please read reports of committees of reference.
Committee on Appropriations. After consideration of the merits, the committee recommends the following bills be amended as follows, and as so amended be for the committee whole favorable recommendation. House Bill 1001, House Bill 1003, House Bill 1005, House Bill 1072, House Bill 1223, House Bill 1228, House Bill 1267, and House Bill 1345. The committee also recommends the following bills be referred to the committee of the whole unamended with favorable recommendation. House Bill 1130, House Bill 1183, House Bill 1191, House Bill 1194, House Bill 1208, House Bill 1212, House Bill 1216, House Bill 1230, House Bill 1236, and House Bill 1118. Committee on Energy and Environment chooses the merits of the committees following. House Bill 1059 be referred to the Committee on Finance. Committee on State, Veterans, and Military Affairs chooses the merits of the committees following. House Bill 1329 be referred to the committee whole favorable recommendation.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the following bills be added to a special orders calendar on Friday, March 6th at 10 a.m. House Bill 1194, House Bill 1191, House Bill 1208, House Bill 1005, House Bill 1072, House Bill 1130, House Bill 1345, House Bill 1267, House Bill 1212, House Bill 1236, House Bill 1228, House Bill 1294, House Bill 1003, Senate Bill 136, House Bill 1196, House Bill 1001, House Bill 1183, House Bill 1216, House Bill 1223, House Bill 1230, and House Bill 1307.
Seeing no objection, those bills will be made special orders at 10 a.m. this morning. Representative Jackson. You all have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, Representative Jackson will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee amendments will not be read unless requested, as they are printed in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and not read unless requested. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader. And my friends, the coat rule is indeed relaxed. Mr. Rando, please read the title of House Bill 1194.
House Bill 1194 by Representatives Exum and Willow, Senators Quorum and Story, concerning extension of the period during which the voluntary designation benefiting the American Red Cross Colorado Disaster Response Readiness and Preparedness Fund will appear on the state individual income tax return form.
Representative Exum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 2011-94.
And the Finance Committee report?
And the Finance Committee report.
To the committee report.
The Finance Committee report just appropriate the funds for this bill, and we ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the Finance Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Finance Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. The Finance Committee report passes. To the bill. Representative Exum.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1194 extends the checkoff on income tax reform that allows Colorado taxpayers to contribute to the American Red Cross Disaster Response Readiness and Preparedness Fund. The tax checkoff does not cost the state any money, but simply allows Colorado taxpayers a method to support the Red Cross and its mission of helping Coloradans prepare, respond to, and recover from emergencies. Funds from the tax checkoff will only be used in Colorado and not leave Colorado.
Representative Will.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And this is a check off that this money all stays in Colorado, and that's one of the best things about it. It's a choice. People either check the check off or they don't. They want to donate to this or they don't. So it's just an extension of the program, existing program. It's a great bill. Ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1194? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1194. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, no. House Bill 1194 is adopted.
We're good, buddy.
Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1191.
House Bill 1191, Representatives McLaughlin and Soper, House Senator Story and Quorum, considering the creation of the Outdoor Recreation Industry Office and the Office of Economic Development.
Thank you. Representative Soper.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1191.
And the Energy and Environment Committee report.
Actually, I'll let-
And the Energy Department Committee report. Sorry, I'm raising
All right.
my hand first.
To the committee report, Representative McLaughlin. Representative McLaughlin.
Oh, yes, this one just makes a placeholder for the outdoor recreation. They're already kind of established. It just puts them in, and we just put a little line item on the fiscal note so that they will continue to be 10% of Colorado's economy.
All right. Is there any further discussion on the Energy and Environment Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee report is adopted. To the bill, Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So it's an honor to be on this bill with Representative McLaughlin. Both of us serve on the State Tourism Board, and to codify the Outdoor Recreation Industry Office into statute is really important because we've had it unofficially for the last 3 years. It exists. There's people working there. We're getting outdoor recreation businesses to Colorado and developing in Colorado. And now we're going to put it in statute so they actually have a permanent home in our law books.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1191? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1191. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1191 is adopted. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1208.
House Bill 1208 by Representatives Robertson, Will, also Senator Donovan, concerning the continuation of the Coal Mine Board of Examiners in connection with the recommendations contained in the 2019 Census Report of the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1208, and there are no committee reports.
To the bill, Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is the first sunset bill to come out of the Rural Affairs and Agriculture Committee this year, and I'm proud to be on this bill with Representative Will. This bill adopts the recommendations of the Sunset Report and continues the very important program of keeping our coal miners safe. I'd ask for an aye vote.
Representative Will.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a very important bill because it continues the certification. We want to keep safety in our coal mines, and we want safety for our coal miners. So ask for an aye vote on this. It's a great bill. Vote yes.
All right. Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1208? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of passage of House Bill 1208. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. House Bill 1208 is passed. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1005.
House Bill 1005 by Representatives Michelson, Janae, and Van Winkle, also Senators Fields and Lundin, concerning enhancements to the Safe to Tell program.
Representative Michelson, Janae.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It is such an honor to serve with you as well.
I move House Bill 1005 and the Appropriations Committee report.
And would you like to move the Education report?
And we'll move the Education report while we're at it.
Groovy. To the Education report?
In the Education Committee, we added some changes requested by the Attorney General's office to make sure that the components that we'll talk about of the bill are able to be created through a working group that they're developing.
All right, and to the Appropriations report.
An appropriation was added.
All right. Is there any further discussion on the Appropriations report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Appropriations report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The Appropriations report is adopted. Is there any further discussion on the Education report?
Yes.
Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Education report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Education report is adopted. To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to my co-sponsor here, Chair of the School Safety Interim Committee. We met all summer long. We did a tremendous amount of work, and we had a terrific chair. This is one of the key bills that came out of that School Safety Interim Committee. Let me tell you a bit about Safe to Tell. It was implemented in 2000 to help schools identify youth who are struggling in order to prevent violence and tragedies from occurring. Since its inception in 2000, Safe to Tell has prevented multiple tragedies on school campuses around Colorado. It gives Coloradans and students a safe, anonymous way to help someone who is struggling or hurting. And students will often use Safe to Tell to report bullying, threats, sexual misconduct, harassment, self-harm, and suicidal behaviors. What this bill specifically will do is ensure that the phone operator taking these calls is a crisis specialist to help improve the program's ability to respond to imminent threats. It allows the Attorney General to take action upon credible, serious, and imminent threats, aligns the process for all types of incoming tips, so suicide versus an imminent threat to a school, and adjusts the annual advertising campaign to raise awareness about the program and misusing the program. We know this program already saves many lives each year, and we're hoping with this bill will save even more.
Representative Michelson-Janae.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you so much to my colleague who served with me on School Safety Interim Committee. This was a really productive year for us in terms of the work that we did on the School Safety Interim Committee. We came together in a fully bipartisan fashion, and we looked at this issue through a non-political lens, but a lens of how can we work together to best serve our youth. And one of the things I had the opportunity to do was attend the School Safety Conference in Las Vegas, where there were 900 school safety professionals. And I went to many, many sessions, and they all started like this. It's Colorado's fault, but they gave us Safe to Tell. So let me explain. Columbine is still very much on the minds of the people of the country. And when a school shooting happens, they look to what we did after Columbine to try to help rebuild their communities. And one of the strongest things that we brought to the country was Safe to Tell. And in every session, I heard from different states who utilize Safe to Tell. And Utah has a very interesting adaptation. They adapted having a mental health crisis counselor being the first person to answer the phone. We know that the by far highest use of Safe to Tell today is for suicide reports, either individual suicidality or I think my friend may be at risk. So we are working with the Attorney General's office, and they are working closely with us, and we believe that, as my colleague said, that this bill will save lives. One other thing I think you need to know. We commemorated the 20-year anniversary of Columbine this year. That means every student who is in school today was born after Columbine. Every single one. So they don't necessarily make the connection to why Safe to Tell is such an important program. And one of the youth who testified after a very long, long day, he was one of the last people to testify late at night, he said this would be our opportunity to remarket and reintroduce Safe to Tell to the next generation of students. So we ask for your aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1005? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of House Bill 1005. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1005 is adopted. Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1072 until the end of the special orders calendar.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, House Bill 1072 will be laid over as requested by the Assistant Majority Leader. Ms. Durando, please read the title of House Bill 1130.
House Bill 1130 by Representative Soper and Weissman, also Senators Bridges and Heisey, concerning the online availability of opinions issued by Colorado courts.
Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move the House Judiciary Committee report. I move House Bill 1130.
All right, to the Judiciary Committee report.
So, Madam Chair, the Judiciary Committee report, we made a small change. It really concerned the date of implementation for the bill, and it's just a small change.
Representative Weissman.
Thank you, and good morning, Madam Chair. Colleagues, as Rep. Soper said, this just reflects the work that came out of conversations with the judicial branch, whose responsibility this would be, conversations that we had subsequent to introduction of the bill. This turns out to be the right way to get it done. No particular objection to this in committee, and I also ask for your support of the committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the Judiciary Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption and passage of the Judicial Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The Judiciary report is adopted. To the bill. Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So what House Bill 1130 does is it requires that the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court opinions be made available online, free of charge to the public. And it's the idea that if law is for the public, or the people, and the people are expected to know the law, then they should have access to the law. And case law is law as well. In Colorado, our opinions are available from 1950 to 1980, and then from 1998 to present. Because of these bizarre gaps in history, which are explainable from just the way we did things in our past, we don't have access to all of these opinions, and to be able to go back and to request them from archives would be very laborious, it'd be very expensive. So we worked with Judiciary to find a very cost-effective way to be able to put these opinions online by working with a vendor such as Westlaw or LexisNexis or someone like that. And what this will do is it will create that website to allow the public to have access to these.
Is Representative Weissman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just to add to that, you know, Rep. Soper and I started talking about this subject, I think, back in the summer before session. And this is really simple, but it's also really fundamental. Opinions of our appellate courts are the law. People have a right to be able to access them completely, easily, for free, and from a trusted, credible public source. One can go out and pay hundreds of dollars, in some cases a month, for private services, or there are all sorts of free things that come and go by the year. But the principle here is that opinions of our Colorado Court of Appeals and our Supreme Court are binding law for 6 million people in our state. It's worth investing in a way by which people can reliably access that information. I believe Rep. Soper, in working with the judicial branch, has come up with an elegant solution here, and I'm happy to be part of this and to join in calling for your support. Thank you.
All right, is there any further discussion on House Bill 1130? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1130. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
Sure.
The ayes have it. House Bill 1130 is passed. Mr. Rando, please read the title of House Bill 1345.
House Bill 1345 by Representatives Garnett and Neville, also Senators Fenberg and Holbert, concerning payment of expenses of the Legislative Department.
Assistant Minority Leader Neville.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1345 and the Appropriations Committee report.
To the Appropriations Committee report.
We appropriated some money and fixed, I think, a $25 rounding error in the bill. I urge yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the Appropriation Committee's report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Appropriations report is adopted. Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. It's always an honor to stand up here with Minority Leader Neville. This bill before you is the Legislative Department's appropriation bill. It's the bill that appropriates the money to pay your enormous salaries, to pay the Senate salaries. We always move it before the long bill, which is really important. Another thing to highlight is it also includes all the pay for the aides and the hours for the aides. And so I would encourage an aye vote.
Minority Leader Neville.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, if you don't know, it's actually important that we move this before the long bill so that the governor can't use a veto threat to actually defund us to get what he wants in the long bill. So that's why we always move it forward beforehand.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1345? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1345. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The, oh my. Well, guess what? House Bill 1345 still passes. Representative Tipper.
Yeah, we're missing one of them too. I've been trying to check in with people.
Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I ask for a brief recess?
Certainly, the House will stand in a brief recess. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1267.
House Bill 1267, Representative Tipper, House Senator Gonzalez, concerning transparency of telecommunication service providers in correctional facilities.
Representative Tipper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I apologize for the delay. I move the House Appropriations Report, the House Judiciary Report, and then House Bill 1267.
To the Appropriations Committee report.
Appropriated. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Appropriations Committee report. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Appropriations Committee report is adopted. To the Judiciary report, Representative Tipper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In Judiciary Report, we did an amendment to clarify that we are not trying to get information from telecom providers like AT&T, but rather essentially the intermediary party, just trying to get transparency on the intermediary party that contracts with jails to provide telephone services. So we worked with the industry on that and made conforming amendments to that regard. And I asked for an aye vote on the House Judiciary Committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the Judiciary Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Judiciary Committee report. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Judiciary Committee report is adopted. To the bill, Representative Tipper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So House Bill 1267 is a transparency bill. What it's doing is we know that across the country there are prisons and jails that have contracts with third-party providers that have really egregious fees and telephone costs that they impose on inmates. In Colorado, we have statutory provisions that control that at the prison level, at DOC level, but jails are all across the board. So initially we started wanting to do something that would really rein down and just make sure that they weren't profit centers, but that jails were getting reimbursed for the costs associated with these calls and telecommunication services. Through that process, we realized that there was actually very little information on what the fees and costs actually were. So working with stakeholders, we decided to turn it into a transparency bill, which is what several other states across the country have done, just to ensure transparency and start from there. So with that, I ask for an aye vote on 1267.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1267? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1267. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1267 is passed. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1212.
House Bill 1212 by Representatives Landgraf and Caraveo, also Senator Todd, concerning the continuation of the regulation of naturopathic doctors and in connection with implementing the recommendations contained in the 2019 Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1212, the Appropriations Committee report, and the Public Health Care and Human Services report.
Representative Landgraf, I just have the Public Health Care and Human Services report to the committee report.
I won't move the Appropriations Committee report.
To the Health and Human Services Committee report. Representative Caraveo.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It has been a pleasure to carry this with my Republican colleague. Really, we did not follow two of Dora's recommendations because of the importance of creating connections between the naturopathic doctors and the medical doctors, particularly around the care of pediatric patients. So for patients under 2, there will continue to be an accord between naturopathic doctors and MDs. And in order to strengthen that relationship between MDs and NDs, we will be changing the advisory board to include 1 pediatrician and 1 member of CMS. Both the medical doctors and the naturopaths have been in complete agreement over these changes, and so I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the Health and Human Services report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the Health and Human Services report. All of those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Health and Human Services report is passed. To the bill, representatives.
Yes, so that is basically the changes that were made in public health are the bill. Otherwise, we stuck with the recommendations from Dora. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1212? Representative Van Winkle.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and just my thanks to the bill sponsors. As we all know in this chamber that this has been somewhat of a contentious issue for several years. I think the bill sponsors did terrific work bringing everyone together, bringing everyone to the table, and coming out with a bill that everyone can be happy with. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1212? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1212. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1212 is passed. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1236.
House Bill 1236 by Representatives Lontine and Will, also Senators Tate and Bridges, concerning a health care coverage enrollment program that uses information gathered from state individual income tax return forms to aid uninsured individuals in obtaining health care coverage.
Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't see Representative Lontine's Republican co-prime, so I move to lay over House Bill 12. Here he comes. So I actually just think this is a great bill, and I look forward to hearing from Representative Lontine and Representative Will.
I am absolutely excited myself.
Sorry, Representative.
All right. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1236. Oh, all right. Representative Lontine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1236 and the committee report.
To the Finance Committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Finance Committee, we added 1 amendment. That was a specific request from Colorado Access. They're one of our RAIs, and that is to have someone from Medicaid or CHIP eligibility expert on the committee that is created by our bill. So ask for an aye vote on the committee report.
Is there any more discussion on the Finance Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the Finance Committee report. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. The ayes still have it. The Finance Committee report is passed. To the bill, Representative Lontine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L002.
Oops.
I'm sorry, L004. Thank you, Robin.
All right, L004 is properly before us. Please proceed, Representative Lontine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Certainly had intended to run this amendment in committee. We just wanted to make sure that it was exactly right. And it wasn't exactly right in committee, so we got it right. What Amendment L4 does is address 2 issues that our carriers have. They were concerned about folks who might game the system, and then also they were concerned about an administrative burden from having to verify eligibility for new folks in the special enrollment period. So to address that concern, we are limiting the SEP to people who qualify for subsidies on the exchange and to people that file their taxes by the April 15th deadline. and that we are clarifying that carriers would not have to verify eligibility since the exchange is already doing that. So that's Amendment 4 addresses both of the concerns that the carriers have, and with that, they are in support of the bill. So I ask for an aye vote on Amendment 4.
Is there any more discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L004. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Amendment L004 passes. Representative Will.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So, House Bill 1236 is, under this bill, Coloradans be able to ask on their state income tax return for the state health insurance exchange to determine whether uninsured household members are eligible for free or subsidized coverage. Those who ask to have eligibility assessed under the program will receive information about the coverage option and the assistance with enrollment. So I'm very excited to be on this bill, and it helps my district. I'm working on this bill because it's important to the people of my district in rural Colorado and to increase their insurance coverage. And according to the Census Bureau data, the uninsured rate in my district is 2 times or twice that of the average, state average in Colorado, for my district twice. So, and the high uninsured rates in rural Colorado puts additional coverages on our rural hospitals, which we're trying to keep in business, these critical access hospitals. And they operate in a small or even negative margins. And these hospitals that are in our rural areas, I mean, they don't turn anyone away. They take care of people in need. And we need to make sure that they're financially stable. So from 16 to 2017, total margins, cash on hand, operating margins, et cetera, for critical access hospitals been decreasing, indicating greater financial hardship for these rural providers. And we've been hearing that here in this session, the whole entire session. So for hospitals and community health centers, this is very concerning, the increasing numbers of uninsured Coloradans, how it makes hard for them to continue providing services to our communities in need. This is very concerning for my district, and I know it's very concerning for all rural parts of Colorado and their critical access hospitals. That's for rural and frontier counties. And they serve a very large area of the state geographically. So this bill will reduce the number of uninsured Coloradans. That's really what we're after. It'll improve health and individual health and financial security. I think we know that. We have this discussion every day concerning health care, that having access to coverage helps Coloradans protect their health and shields them from financial crisis when health emergencies strike. That's the biggest thing. And then it reduces uncompensated care by our hospital and our other providers, community health centers. And their patients have insurance, clinics and hospitals are more likely to get reimbursed for the services they provide. Reducing the uninsured rate reduces the burden of uncompensated care. That's huge for rural Colorado. And it brings healthy uninsured individuals into coverage. Providing additional information about this free reduced cost options they qualify for will get them into coverage. This in turn helps spread risk and reduce payments for health insurance statewide. I couldn't advocate for this bill anymore. And I can tell you for the rural legislators sitting in this room as well, it's huge for rural Colorado, and I ask for an aye vote on this bill.
Representative Lontine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just real quick, if any of you have had the opportunity to check out the fiscal note on this bill, it sounds like a really big cost, but really it'll be $28,000, and that will be pushed out to 21-22. And that really is the only cost we're incurring is updating our tax forms and some software changes that the Department of Revenue needs to make. And the exchange has been very gracious in their ability to pick up the rest of the costs. So we have the opportunity to enroll up to 400,000 Coloradans who are eligible for some sort of subsidy or help in some way or form, and get them enrolled and get coverage for the small cost of $28,000. So this is a really good deal for the state. So I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Will.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to comment too that this is choice. You opt into checking this box to see if you want to get evaluated and eligibility on this. This is something you choose to check. So that's a really easy part of it. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1236? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1236. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1236 is passed. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1228.
House Bill 1228 by Representative Froelich, of Senator Danielson, concerning forensic medical evidence of sexual assault.
Representative Froelich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1228 on second reading. I also move Appropriations and Judiciary Committee reports.
To the Appropriations Committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Appropriations Committee appropriated.
Is there any further discussion on the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the Appropriations Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The Appropriations Committee report is adopted. Representative Froelich.
Thank you. The Judiciary Committee report, Madam Chair.
Yes, Representative.
We had a great discussion in Judiciary Committee and passed an amendment, and I asked for a yes vote on the Judiciary Committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the Judiciary Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Judiciary Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee report passes. To the bill, Representative.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Protecting survivors' rights to rape kit evidence, not complicated. We do this by affirming survivors' rights to know the status of their kits. We are extending the amount of time we hold on to forensic evidence, and we're connecting victims with a victim advocate at the time the forensic evidence is collected. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1228? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1228. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1228 is passed. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1294.
House Bill 1294 by Representative Lantino, Senator Gonzalez, considering replacing the term illegal alien with undocumented immigrant as it relates to public contracts for services.
Representative Lantine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1294. There is no committee report.
To the bill, Representative.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1294 removes an ugly stain from our statutes. In our statutes on public contracting that our cities and local municipalities all have to follow, we have the term illegal alien. There is no need for us to have that term in our statutes. There is no need for us to be codifying hate speech, which is what we have done with this. I am simply removing illegal alien, replacing it with undocumented immigrant. It costs us nothing to treat people with dignity and respect. And that's all this bill is doing. It does not change the statute's intent in any way whatsoever. And I ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Representative Humphrey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And we heard this bill in State Affairs and had a lot of passionate testimony. Basically what the bill does is what the title says. I mean, concerning replacing the term illegal alien with undocumented immigrant as it relates to public contracts for services. And you have a number of places where the words illegal alien are struck and undocumented immigrant is set to be the word that replaces illegal alien. An illegal alien certainly is, there's certainly a number of people who find that to be a very offensive term, but it is a term of art written into law across generations of Republicans and Democrats writing policy, and they didn't do that to be racist, offensive, or derogatory before a clear immigration policy and law that in large part protects American workers and the American taxpayer. You can have open borders, or you can have a substantially funded welfare state. But making both work isn't really feasible. What we heard in committee during testimony was that the term illegal alien was a hateful phrase, that it makes it okay to treating people who are here unlawfully, makes it okay to treat them with violence, that it's hate speech, and that it is a way of speaking of people as though they're less than human. And, you know, I mean, I couldn't disagree more with that, because what we're really doing is that, you know, we're judging the hearts and minds of people who disagree with us politically and making all these attributions. And I don't think that that's really constructive. Is this the best terminology? You know, the law is federal law, and our CRS mirrors that. And I think a lot of assumptions have been made, and a really broad brush has been used, you know, slashed around by, you know, activists who want to control the language and dictate one point of view. I mean, it could be said from the other perspective that this bill is motivated by, you know, hate for those who disagree on immigration law concerning immigration. In a real sense, we're arguing about, you know, who has moral superiority on this issue, is what it seems like. And so we're really talking about motivations in a way that isn't helpful. We've heard a lot of that kind of talk this session about this is hate and that's hate. I think that these terms need to be left alone. It's what we've got in federal law. It's a federal issue, needs to be addressed at that level, and there is legislation being proposed on that level. And undocumented immigrant is inherently problematic to me. I think I said in committee that it's an oxymoron, because if you are here as an immigrant, it means that you're going through our immigration process, and you want to be here, you want to do it the right way, you want to be here legally. Undocumented immigrant is an entirely neutral term and being used of a highly controversial issue by one side of the political controversy. So I think we need to leave this alone, let the feds sort it out, and I urge a no vote on this bill. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I rise in opposition to this, and I do want, from the onset, want to recognize, I think, the very good intentions of our bill sponsor on this. I do understand and certainly empathize with the fact that the term illegal alien does sound offensive to others. I certainly understand that it invokes certainly a passionate debate where there's emotion already surrounding the broader issue. But I don't think we should be doing this, at least not replacing it with the term undocumented immigrant. And I do echo the comments from Representative Humphrey that there is sort of been a broad brush painted with those who are okay with the term as being hateful. And while I do recognize that there are people that probably use the term illegal alien in a pejorative sense, I would say that probably most people don't. And I don't think it's probably fair to suggest otherwise, or that myself or any of my colleagues who do use it are being hateful. With that said, I do kind of want to look at the flip side of it. The proponents will certainly argue that the term itself is hateful and what have you, and that it's dehumanizing to the individual that we're talking about. But the other perspective, at least on this side, is that by changing the term illegal alien to undocumented immigrant, desensitizes the public to the action that's actually taking place. It minimizes the unlawful nature of being here in contradiction of our immigration laws. And that's pretty much, I think, my main objection. Could we change the term illegal alien to something that's a little bit different, that still captures the illegal or unlawful nature of what's going on, I think there's probably room for that. But if we're talking about undocumented immigrant, then I think it falls short of what we're trying to accomplish. I think there is room for us to come together on something, but at the same time, we don't, our side at least, doesn't want to diminish the unlawful nature that is occurring with that descriptor illegal alien. Illegal alien, from our perspective, accurately describes someone who has entered our country illegally or unlawfully in contradiction to our laws. If we can create a term that still gets that descriptor across to the general public, then you probably won't see too much opposition from our side. But with that said, again, undocumented immigrant, from our point of view, from my point of view, shows that we're trying to minimize the unlawful nature and action that's associated with the individual. And we shouldn't be glossing over the fact that these people who do come here illegally are in fact breaking our laws, and that's not the message we should be sending to the public or, quite frankly, to those people who are breaking our laws. And I think that's probably the biggest objection that I have. But my point is this. At the end of the day, those of us who use the term illegal alien, of which I've certainly used before, we're doing it because, one, it's in the law. I think that's undisputed. The term alien is right there in federal statute. And if that's something that we don't like, we have the option to go to our members of Congress and ask them to pass a law that strips that terminology away. Or we ourselves have the option to run for Congress and then offer that bill at the federal level. But I will say that I do think it's unfair for anyone to suggest that anyone who uses this term is being hateful, because that's generally speaking not accurate. But I do want to commend the bill sponsor's intent of trying to address the very real hurt feelings that other members of our society have associated with this. So I do recognize that. I do appreciate that. But on the flip side, I don't think it's fair to suggest that perhaps everyone that uses those terms are being mean and hateful about it. So I would, at this point, ask for a no vote on this bill.
Representative Lontine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What is the word we think of when we think of the word illegal? Most people think of criminal. I'm here to tell you, people who are here undocumented are not criminals. To be here without documentation is not a criminal offense. It is a civil offense. And a lot of these people came here as children. So if you want to lump a bunch of people who came to our country to find a better life, to escape violence and poverty, and simply call them criminals because of their circumstance, I think that's wrong. As for the legal precedent, there is legal precedent for the use of the word undocumented immigrant. Justice Sonia Sotomayor, a United States Supreme Court justice, I think maybe most of us in this room have heard of her, who I think probably has a little bit more legal background than any of us in the room, has used the term undocumented immigrants as a term of art to describe people in a case involving employers that hire illegal immigrants. This is perfectly fine for us to use. We should not be codifying hate speech. I ask for an aye vote. Thank you.
Representative Sandridge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I guess on the Republican side, I'll be the second of the third Hispanics to discuss this, because you're Hispanic as well. My mother's Hispanic. I think we've had discussions, family discussions about this term, and actually worse, more aggressive terms. I think what is offensive is diluting As somebody who came here, violated our national sovereignty, it's offensive to the people who have done it right, who've came here legally. The people in my family historically came here legally. My daughter's grandmother on the mother's side is working on her citizenship. She takes great pride in following the laws in this country. And would anybody like that ever think twice of violating our national sovereignty and cut in line? That's what's offensive. They shouldn't be on an even plane. Somebody who comes here, spends the year, spends the money to be part of this country should be honored, and somebody who cuts in line, cuts in line of my family members, that is offensive. So something else too, and I'll go to some people in my district. People in my district are getting to the point where they don't care if people are offended if they speak the truth. If you want to change the definition of something and be offended, they're at the point they don't care. They know what definitions are. They know what history is. They know what it is when you violate our national sovereignty. And they're at the point that if people get offended by the truth, get offended by a traditional definition, that's on you. That's not on them. So with that said, I'm definitely opposed to this bill. Thank you.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, there's a few things I want to clarify. And again, I can't stress this enough. I do want to acknowledge, I think, the very good intentions of the bill sponsor here, because there are hurt feelings. There are, some things that we could probably word differently and a little bit better, and I acknowledge that. However, I do want to point out that, when we think about the word illegal, it could be considered either a civil infraction versus a criminal infraction. The point is that it's an infraction against the law, and I think generally speaking that's what we mean when we talk about illegal. I also want to point out and clarify that yes, it is true that if you perhaps overstay your visa and it's a first-time offense, that it's considered a civil infraction. However, there are instances where if you are removed from the country and then you come back without going through the proper channels, and then that would become a criminal offense. So it depends on the situation. It's a little bit more complicated. I think the point with the term illegal simply means that you're in violation of the law, and we're not trying to make distinctions of a civil versus criminal sort of infraction in that instance. And I just want to say that, again, if we're really hurt by these terminologies and these words, then there could be compromise. There could be an opportunity for us to come together and get to something that satisfies the concerns of everyone involved. Again, I think for our side, one of the main objections is that we're desensitizing the public to the illegal action that is taking place. And we shouldn't be minimizing this. I think Representative Sandridge, was spot on when he talked about how there are people who are coming here and violating our borders and our national sovereignty. And then for us to try and soften that very real problem by changing terms and definitions is a bridge too far. And I also just generally take exception to this politically correct mentality that I think is starting to impact what we do here. I can certainly appreciate some members here who want to be woke. I get it. But at the same time, I think there's a possibility that we might be going too far. Words do matter, and I think that's why you're seeing a very robust debate here. Words do matter, and we just want to make sure that we get it right. That if we're going to change the word, okay, fine, but let's also realize that we should not minimize the unlawful nature that's occurring and associated with the individual that did cross our borders or overstay their visa without proper authorization. So I would ask for a no vote on this, or at the very least, maybe for a way to not use the term undocumented immigrant, but something that gets closer to the unlawful action that is taking place. So please vote no.
Representative Lontine. Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Esteemed colleagues, I rise in opposition to this, but I have a very different reason. Well, it's similar, but yet different. Allow me to explain to my esteemed colleagues. First of all, words matter. But it's not our place to rewrite the dictionary definition of words. But here's what really matters to the illegal aliens or the undocumented immigrants that we speak of. Now, the other day I said I would use a certain language, and I will respect that from this point on. If we really want to help undocumented immigrants, then why are we playing with words? Why? Because if we really want to help these individuals, why aren't we talking about a system, legislative action, that fast tracks and allows undocumented immigrants to have consideration for citizenship that are in this country in a manner that will allow for these individuals that have broken federal law, that have disrespected the laws of the United States of America. That's the real issue. And for that, I am eager. Those individuals that have come here, why? They have come here not to receive what was made as a claim earlier about poverty and violence, which isn't legitimate in this country, to the extent that these people have left their home countries. If you want to go see violence and poverty, then take a trip with me through Mexico and down into Central America. Let's take that journey, because that is where the violence and poverty is that was mentioned in earlier.
Representative Holtorf, can we please stick to the bill?
I believe I am, Madam Chairman, but I will continue with a dialogue that is more guided. Now, I want to tell you a little bit about a family story, because I am the third Hispanic American in the Republican caucus. I would like to be welcomed into the Hispanic caucus from all of my colleagues, as well as the other two of us, as we come and talk about these issues. But I'm going to talk about somebody that's near and dear to my heart, Vicente Antonio Alonso Rived. You say, who's that? Who's that individual? Well, he happens to be my father. Without him, I wouldn't be here. And my father is a naturalized citizen of the United States of America. And that journey took him many, many months and years to accomplish. It was difficult. Some people said it couldn't be done. But because of his faith in God, his desire to be a United States citizen, he took that journey with my mother. He didn't try to, as Representative Sandridge said, just run to the front of the line. Just get to the front of the line and see if he can get in. He did it the right way. He did it the legal way, at great expense, time, and energy and effort to his family and himself. So with respect to my family history, I do have a substantive issue with this play on words. And all it is a simple play on words. But words do have meaning. And there is legal, which means you're following the law, and there's illegal, which means you're not following the law. And then you have to repair what is not legal and try to obtain legality. I'm not going to speak to the other word, but it has the same correlation. I will tell you that if this body wants to get serious about this issue, then join me and others. And let's get serious about fast-tracking. If you want to lead as a state, let's get serious about leading as a state and fast-tracking and trying to create a system which we know at the federal level is unpopular to even talk about. But that is the real solution to the dilemma, not having a play on words. That is the real solution for these people that have entered this country and have broken federal law. Why? To escape violence, to escape economic depravity, to escape poverty, to escape injustice from broken and failed states and government. We're not a failed state. Not yet. Because what a failed state is a state that doesn't follow laws. They ignore their laws. They let organized crime, they let drug cartels, they let other very wealthy and illegal elements control the fabric and fiber of the country and directly interfere with governance. So this is why I have an issue with this, ladies and gentlemen. I have an issue with this because as we continue to ignore law, turn our head to law, the law of the land, and we sit here and try to redefine terms for the sake of feeling better about redefining terms, making claims that the terms are necessary to escape violence and poverty. Well, I will tell you, take that trip with me. How far south do you want to go? Because I've been there. I've seen it. Now, having said that, I will tell you, I'm strongly opposed to this, and I welcome any colleague in this House chamber to come with me and let's seriously address the issue if you really want to be serious and not just have these play on words with respect to contracting individuals in this state. Thank you.
Representative Benavides.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, this is a bill to amend an existing statute. This statute came into play in 2006 during the interim session that was held that summer of 2006. I was there as a community advocate and participated and testified on most of these bills. This was House Bill 1023 that was put forward in 2006. If you read the entire statute, what it's talking about is saying that if your government are going to contract with an entity, that entity has to use E-Verify in order to determine if someone has legal status to be here or not. That's what it talks about. It says those contractors cannot utilize, and the term in there is illegal aliens, but if you look through that statute, that term is not defined. It doesn't, I mean, some people may say it references federal law, and there is a term like that in federal law, but this statute does not reference federal law. And remember what this statute is about. It is to say, if you are going to contract with the state, you cannot use people who don't go through E-Verify and can legally work in this state. That term that was used over this many years, and we've talked about this, has been detrimental and looked at as a negative connotation for groups of people. It's not a descriptive word. The better descriptive word, particularly for E-Verified, is people here without documents. So I think the change recognizes that and is a better word to use in this statute than illegal alien, which could mean all kinds of things and does have a negative connotation. And this will not be the first time that we look at statutes and we make changes to them. You know, we've taken, and I'm not going to steal the thunder because they will give cites, where we've taken the term retarded out of our statute books because it has a negative connotation. It was a term that was used many times as normal vernacular. We use the term colored. We use the term Negro in our statutes. And that was considered normal vernacular. But that was our right as a legislature to say, these are negative terms, let's change it. We can still get the import of the law by making this change, and we can help to mend fences. You know, I'll just say it, to mend fences, make everyone not feel that they are something less than what they are. So, members, I urge support of this bill and hope you will join me.
Thank you, Representative Benavides. Representative Lontine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do appreciate the discussion this morning on House Bill 1294. I do have an amendment that I ask to move L002.
L002 is properly before us. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In testimony, we heard from one witness who had brought up the term unauthorized. And in a discussion with one of my fellow State Affairs members, and as well as with consultation with the City and County of Denver, they had asked for this term to be used, unauthorized worker, in replacement of undocumented immigrant. We're still removing the hurtful phrase illegal alien, but replacing it with unauthorized worker instead with this amendment. Denver's position on this was that since the statute is specific to public contracting and hiring, as Representative Benavides explained, that they preferred that we use the term unauthorized worker instead. So I asked for an aye vote on this amendment. Thank you.
Representative Rich.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I was also in committee when this bill was heard, but I also mentioned in committee that I could possibly support this if it went to unauthorized worker. And I'll tell you why that I feel that way, because it confirms for me that they are not authorized to be here, and I don't consider that a derogatory term or in any way, and I can support this amendment. So I'm asking for an aye vote on this amendment.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L002? Seeing Representative Humphrey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I rise in opposition to this amendment. I think that, you know, part of our immigration policy, and certainly with what the Trump administration is trying to do with building a wall down on the border, is to stop illegal immigration. And this is just sort of, you know, open borders euphemisms that are being used here. And I just fundamentally disagree. I don't think the Border Patrol is going to be looking out there with their little binoculars and saying, oh, there's an unauthorized worker. You know, that's not a problem. And it goes to the heart of the issue as far as we're trying to protect taxpayers, we're trying to protect jobs in this country. That is one of the primary reasons that we need a good immigration policy that helps us bring people in expeditiously who are going to be a benefit to our economy. We want to see that happen. We are a country of immigrants, but certainly there is illegal immigration, and we need to understand it in that sense. So. Vote no. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L002? Representative Sandridge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's okay. I think that there's some debate of whether there should be a negative connotation to this term. I think there should be. I don't think it should be watered down. When you violate our national sovereignty, when you cut in line of people who are actually following the rules, when you come here and cut in front of our most vulnerable, and take some of our part of our safety net, there should be a negative connotation on this. So there should be a negative tone. When somebody does something bad, there should be a negative tone. So with that said, I'm against this amendment. Thank you.
Representative Liston.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Members, some interesting things were brought up about the bill and regarding this amendment. In 2006, I was here in the legislature, and I remember the summer of 2006 when we addressed illegal immigration and so forth. I was on the committee that heard a lot of those bills, and I can still. In fact, if those tapes were available, I'm sure, I remember meeting all of our meetings over in the LSB building, and I would remind my good colleagues that this current language was adopted and supported by the majority party, Speaker Romanoff and Representative Weissman. I believe he chaired the committee, Paul Weissman from Boulder. Anyways, just a little bit of a background why I'm going to offer a substitute amendment here in a moment. I was an immigrant. I was born in England. I was born in England, and for my first 21 years, I had dual citizenship, and I had to decide whether I was going to become an American citizen or support the Queen of England and the Crown. So a lot of times I was called illegal. Personally, I was called illegal. I was called an illegal alien. I was called all kinds of names as trying to get my citizenship. And quite frankly, I really didn't take offense at it. You know, I was a young man, and whether I was called illegal or undocumented or an immigrant or whatever, but I had to wrestle with that and decide. But I never took offense. It personally never hurt me to be called an illegal alien or an undocumented, whatever the terminology was back in the late 60s. Kind of dates me a little bit, but I finally made the decision that I would become a citizen. And so in the name of compromise, because I'm always willing to compromise, I think there can be some common ground, I would like to move L004 as a substitute amendment. And I ask that L004 be displayed.
L004 is properly before us.
So thank you, Madam Chairman. So really this gives people on both sides really what they want. And there again, I don't take offense at it because I don't consider the word illegal offensive. It's just, you know, are undocumented or immigrant. So I offer this that, you know, that way both sides kind of get what they want to a certain degree. And so I would offer L004 as a substitute amendment that we just simply call people illegal, undocumented immigrants, which is kind of what they are. Thank you.
Representative Lontine.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I ask for a no vote on this amendment.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L004? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of L004. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. No. L004 fails. Back to the underlying amendment, L002. Is there any further discussion on L002? Seeing none, the question before us, Representative Holtorf.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, esteemed colleagues. In a moment of surprise to most people in this room, I'm going to speak in support of this compromise. Because that's what, if you think about what is happening here, this is what makes governance great, in my humble junior legislator opinion. Maybe a bit naive to the system, but when I see compromise bringing two sides together to travel down the middle of the road, which is where governance travels best, in my opinion, I think in this particular case, this is a compromise that I certainly can live with. Now, allow me to explain. Unauthorized worker. They are workers. And for those of us that know and live amongst and around the immigrant population, like many of us do, and know the value that they contribute to our economy, and understand fundamentally what these people do for our country every day, I think this is a very good compromise. Now think about what happens every day in this country. Representative Lontine has brought this forward. We have discussed and worked together down here at the well, and we've tried to find some middle ground. And I greatly appreciate seeing this, because now my heart is filled with hope in this legislative body. Because we're considering, we're discussing, and we're making compromise coming to the middle with this particular amendment. Now think about what happens every day in this country, and don't take it for granted. If you had a glass of milk this morning, if you had non-dairy milk this morning, I will tell you that the people that brought that to you, many of them fall into this category. And many of them are very happy to have the opportunity to do this work in this country. If you've ever stayed in a hotel, or you've ever ate at a restaurant, let's be honest with each other here. The people that work in food service oftentimes, the people that work in the hotel and restaurant industry oftentimes, are people that may or may not fall into this category. And every day they come to work, in many cases, happy that they have this opportunity. And I will tell you why. Because some of the places I've traveled to, there is no opportunity. There's a life of poverty, a life of crime, and the only thing perhaps a young man can aspire to do is join the local drug gang and try to work his way up to find some type of opportunity in his or her country within the drug cartels that are so corrosive and divisive to not only their home countries, but their influence comes all the way into our country, and they spread this horrible vice and device. So, for those reasons, and many more that I'm not going to take the time to explain, I'm very happy that we're finding compromise in this particular language.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L002? Representative Humphrey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just very briefly, I just wanted to say that I just don't think that this is accurate language. I think that a more neutral term, which was already there, which was what I don't like either, which is immigrant. In this case, we're saying that everybody is coming here to be a worker who is here unlawfully, and that just isn't the case. So this language is just inaccurate. It's a distortion, and it's this kind of euphemistic open borders language, and I oppose, and I ask for a no vote. Thank you.
Any further discussion on Amendment L002? Seeing none, the question before us is passage of Amendment L002. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. L002 is adopted. Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1294? Seeing none, the question before us is passage of House Bill 1294. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. House Bill 1294 is passed. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 10003.
House Bill 1003 by Representatives Roberts and Rich, also Senators Donovan and Scott, concerning modifications to the Rural Jump Start Zone Act.
Representative Rich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 2010-03 and the appropriations and finance reports.
To the appropriations report, Representative Rich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The appropriations made an appropriation to the office of the governor.
Is there any further discussion on the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Appropriations Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. The committee report passes. To the Finance report, Representative Rich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Finance Committee, in Finance, we did do an amendment for another 5-year period, and also that the state auditor would evaluate the tax expenditures. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the Finance Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The Finance Committee report passes. To the bill, Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I am so excited to present House Bill 1003 with Representative Rich. This is a great bill for rural Colorado. This extends and expands an already successful program that we have called the Rural Jumpstart program, which incentivizes new businesses to open their doors in rural Colorado. We've seen great success, especially in Mesa County, but what this bill will do will extend the program for 5 more years and loosen up the competition provisions that exist in statute so that more businesses can take advantage. It's a really great bill for rural Colorado, a great bill for small businesses in our state. I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Rich.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Being from Mesa County, I can tell you that this has been a really good program for Mesa County, and this is going to open up other opportunities for other rural communities. There's a lot of counties that maybe don't have economic partnerships, and this is going to take care of that and attract more businesses to rural Colorado. So I'm asking for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1003? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1003. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. House Bill 1003 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 136.
Senate Bill 136 by Senator Moreno, also Representative Arndt, concerning an omnibus bill containing recommendations of the Statutory Revision Committee related to the committee's statutory charge.
Representative Arndt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 136. There's no committee report.
To the bill.
This is an omnibus statutory revision committee bill, and if you read it, you'll see that it just moves things around to true them up in the right section of statute and fits right under the charge of the committee, and I urge a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 136? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 136. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Senate Bill 136 passes. Mr. Rando, please read the title of House Bill 1196.
House Bill 1196 by Representatives Hooten and McCluskey, also known as Fenberg and Lee, concerning updates to the laws governing mobile home parks.
Representative McCluskey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It is such an honor and pleasure to serve with you as well.
Thank you. I move House Bill 1196, the Transportation and Local Government Report, and Amendment L005 to the Transportation and Local Government Report, and ask that the amendment be displayed.
The amendment is properly before us. Representative McCluskey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the committee, we were able to make some changes to the bill as part of our ongoing work with our mobile home park owners. Those changes included eviction compliance, some changes to language to clarify what our intention was around retaliation. And this specific amendment speaks to a change in the notice of days to quit or cure. We have moved from what we had originally amended in committee from 30 to 60, and now we are moving from 60 to 90. With that, I urge an aye vote on Amendment L005.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L005? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Amendment L005. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Amendment L005 passes. To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to urge an aye vote on our committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the Transportation Local Government Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The committee report passes. To the bill. Representative Hooton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
It is an honor and a privilege and a pleasure to serve with you as well.
Madam Chair, I move Amendment L003 and ask that it be displayed.
Amendment L003 is properly displayed. Representative Hooton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, L003 clarifies the types of actions that could be considered retaliatory by ensuring that legitimate business activities are not included. It also simplifies and reduces the time originally outlined in the bill related to quitting and curing in the case of a rule violation that could lead to eviction. Instead of 120 days total before an eviction notice, the time has been reduced to 90 days. And I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L003? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Amendment L003. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Amendment L003 passes. Representative Hooton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L004 and ask that it be displayed.
Amendment L004 is properly before us. Representative Hooton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, L004 adds language around rule violations that can be cause for eviction, including violations that cause material damage to real or personal property. It also reduces the time period regarding the rebuttable presumption of retaliation from 6 months to 4 months. It also amends language regarding enforcement of rules and when rules can be paused to allow an investigation by the Department of Local Affairs. It also allows for entry onto a lot without notifying a homeowner for posting required notices. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L004? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Amendment L004. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Amendment L004 passes. Representative Hooton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L007 and ask that it be displayed.
Amendment L007 is before us. Representative Hooton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, L007 clarifies that during the right to cure and quit period, that the obligation to pay rent remains in effect. This just puts into statute what is already done in practice to ensure there is no lack of during these processes.
Is there any
further
discussion on Amendment L007? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Amendment L007. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. L007 passes. To the bill. Representative McCluskey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In our extensive work last year on House Bill 1309, we worked hard to bring forward a dispute resolution process for our mobile home owners in trying to give them a voice and a way to try and reconcile any of the challenges they were facing with mobile home park owners. Over the course of the last year since the passage of that bill, over months of, I think, very successful stakeholding, we've been able to identify additional needs from our mobile home owners and also work extensively with our mobile home park owners to try and create a very collaborative, constructive process to resolve issues. I also want to be able to identify that in this particular bill, we're focused on a few specific areas. I use my hands a lot when I speak. Thank you, Representative Liston. I want to focus on the fact that we have provided provisions around retaliation to prevent retaliation from our mobile home park owners, to avoid any arbitrary evictions, that we are working on improving utility billing transparency, allowing our landlords their responsibilities in the way that they should be provided, but also protecting the privacy of our mobile home park owners. With that, I urge an aye vote on House Bill 1196.
Representative Hooton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, I'd like to just point to the fact that there's been quite a large coalition of proponents that worked with the park owners on these amendments. And in fact, we worked quite late into the evening several times in the past week. And I think maybe some who would be inclined to oppose the bill have heard from the Park Owners Association that they are in a neutral position on the bill. Both sides worked in very good faith to produce the packet that is before you. And with that, I urge an aye vote on House Bill 1196.
Representative Liston.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Representative McCluskey, I just, you have a good sense of humor, so I just wanted to say, members, believe it or not, I want to express my admiration for the bill sponsors because I know they've worked very hard for this bill. And I think this exemplifies how good legislation can happen because they have shown a good willingness to compromise. I have a number of mobile home parks in my district. I have quite a few. I don't know how many, but I know I have a lot. And they're all good people, by the way. I've really enjoyed campaigning in mobile home parks. But anyways, I will be supporting this bill because of the way that the sponsors have shown a good willingness to compromise and work with the affected parties, including the mobile home park owners. So, vote your conscience, but I think that they have shown a excellent willingness to work with both sides and come up with a good bill. I still have some reservations just how successful it may be, but I really commend the sponsors. So thank you very much.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1196? Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And colleagues, I apologize for not being here for most of this debate, but some of us got called out, and you know how that's worked today. But I too want to echo what Representative Liston was talking about on the willingness that how willing you were to get together and try to come up with a compromise on this. I really appreciate that, and I'm sorry that they twisted your arm hard enough that you had to wear a cast now, Representative Hooten. But I really appreciate the efforts there because a lot of the concerns that we had on this side of the aisle, you have addressed many of those, and we really appreciate that. So thank you for your hard work. And again, I apologize for not being here for the debate on the amendments. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1196? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1196. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. House Bill 1196 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1001.
House Bill 1001 by Representatives Mullica and Larson, all Senators Bridges and Priola concerning nicotine product regulation.
Representative Mullica.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to move House Bill 10001 in the committee reports, which were Health and Insurance, Finance, and Appropriations.
We have a Health and Insurance and Appropriations Committee reports. So to the Appropriation Committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appropriations Committee report, they appropriated the money needed for this bill.
Is there any further discussion on the Appropriation Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the Appropriation Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The committee report passes. To the Health and Insurance Committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the Health and Insurance Committee, we amended the bill with approximately, I think, 5 amendments here. We clarified that the employee between the age of 18 and 21 is not a violation in possessing these products. We replaced the 36-month look-back period back down to 24 months. We provided one affirmative defense for the use in a 24-month period. We allowed for vending machines and licensed gaming establishments. And we also added language to allow for local coordination between locals and state more efficient and effective. And I would ask for a yes vote on the Health and Insurance Committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the Health and Insurance Committee report? Representative Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And first off, we want to applaud again the intentions of the bill sponsors here. We do have some issues with the committee report itself, and we think there could be some room for improvement. And so with that, I'll go ahead.
Representative Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so, members, the bill specifically does talk about fees associated with penalties, and so we think that there's something we can do to actually better utilize some of those fees associated, and so I move L011 to the Health and Insurance Committee report and ask that it properly be displayed.
Thank you.
And so, members, simply what this does is that it takes 10% from those fees, which the bill speaks about, and it allocates it to a fund that the Department of Revenue would go ahead and reimburse families if they're potentially looking to screen for lung cancer for their minors. So that's the idea of the amendment. It's only 10%. The bill specifically talks about the limits of those fees associated, and so 10% would just be set aside for the potential need for reimbursement. Like I said, should a family choose to screen their child for lung cancer, and so I would urge a yes vote on L011.
Representative Larson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I actually have a question for the amendment sponsors. Would these fees be coming from the fines collected or from the licensing fee? Because I don't want the licensing fee that we're collecting for business to be used for any purpose other than paying for enforcement of the program. So I just would want some clarification that it's specifically from the fines collected.
Representative Geithner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And so, yes, great question. Specifically, page 21, limitation on fines, line 11. And so it is associated directly with the fines, where it speaks to a fine in the amount of at least $250, but not more than $500. And so that's the area that we're amending.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L011? Representative Mullica.
Madam Chair, thank you. Can I just ask for just a brief recess to discuss the amendment, please?
House will stand in brief recess. The House will come back to order. Representative Mullica.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We're looking at it, and we understand where the sponsors of the amendment are coming from, and we appreciate that, and so we would consider this a friendly amendment.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L011? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Amendment L011. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Amendment L011 is adopted. Any more discussion on the Health and Insurance Committee report? Seeing
No further discussion, Madam Chair. I ask for an aye vote on the Health and Insurance Committee report.
Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee report is adopted. To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, we obviously have a vaping epidemic here in Colorado. We see that our youth are increasingly getting their hands on these products. And so Representative Larson and myself started working on increasing that purchase age to 21. The federal government obviously beat us to that, and so this is a federal requirement already. And so we're being consistent with that in House Bill 10001. We also, to enforce that T21, we are implementing a statewide license so that we can enforce that. And then we also are talking about online sales. Data shows that that's how a lot of these products are getting into our schools. And so we want to not be able to have those online sales and only have licensed facilities sell these products within our state.
Representative Larson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And a lot of this has to do with updating, frankly, our current statutes. There are many references in current statute to the 18-year-old age. So a big component of this law is updating that. So I just want to kind of run you down a couple of the provisions that we did put in this. This bill was done in collaboration with many different interests and entities. So this was a very stakeholdered bill. So moving through the bill, I'll just kind of go through section by section. Obviously, Section 1 removes or increases the age to 21, updates a lot of the signage requirements, and then removes the penalty for possession for minors. We just didn't feel like this was an appropriate thing anymore. We've unfortunately seen where some of these charges for minors' possession have just been misapplied. So we're removing that component of the law. For Section 2, we're updating the T21 aspects of the Clean Indoor Air Act, which again refers to some of those signage requirements. Section 3 is another update to those signage requirements here to just make sure that everything referenced is talking about 21 and not 18. Section 4 is this is the section that's striking those possession requirements I talked about earlier. So you will no longer be committing a petty offense if you are a minor found to be in possession of a tobacco product, because this just hasn't been found to be an effective cessation technique for youth, and it's just leading to criminalization that's frankly unnecessary. Section 5 just clarifies some other language around what authorities are granted to county commissioners and what authorities aren't. Section 6 adds definitions about the regulation, defines who a distributor is, defines what an electronic smoking device is, local authority, these other things. Section 7 goes into prohibiting the sales of these products to minors and sales through vending machines, and also add some language around there are certain exemptions that we've granted for facilities like casinos that have been operating here that already are age-restricted stores, but just some clarification about what their signage can be and where they can sell these products. But we felt it was appropriate to exempt these casino products, these businesses that have been operating for many years that are already age restricted, because those frankly are not where teenagers are going to procure these products. Section 8 gets into the state and local licensing, which is really frankly the largest component of this bill. It defines the processes by which these licenses will be obtained. We've created a dual license structure here, trying to make it as simple as possible for businesses to comply with, and as much as possible trying to stay in alignment with what they're currently doing for liquor and other licensure. And it would also make it a streamlined process if a business has already obtained a local license, or if they're in a local jurisdiction that requires a local license, that it would be a much simpler and streamlined process for them to get their state license. Section 10 gets to some distance requirements. This was very important for me. It was a big reason why I got on the bill, to ensure that we are not disrupting business for anybody who's currently operating. So we are creating a new 500-foot setback requirement, but this is very clear that it only applies to new construction. We are grandfathering in all existing structures, so if there are currently grocery stores, convenience stores, anyone that is currently selling tobacco products that is in violation of the rules that we're setting forth here, they're grandfathered in. They also have a transferability component that will not devalue them in a future transaction, which again, as a business owner, was very important to me. It also limits some advertising. Basically, the whole concept in this bill is we're trying to treat e-cigarettes and these products similar to the way that we treat individual cigarettes. So it brings the restrictions in line for advertising of vaping products to the same restrictions that retailers already have for cigarette products. Similar with online sales, we actually have an amendment coming that was the result of further compromise that I'll let my co-sponsor speak to later. Then Section 11 talks about the enforcement, fines, and suspension. As we mentioned earlier, we did add back in an affirmative defense. This is an important thing for me. So if a retailer has demonstrated that they have an effective policy to train their employees on proper sales procedures, they can use that affirmative defense so that they aren't hit with a fine for the first violation. Then it lays out a system of fines for the number of violations that occur within a 24-month period, starting out fairly minor, and then for chronic offenders, people who are caught in violation, 5 times in a 24-month period, where the fines sort of ramp up from there. Moving right along. And I think that's essentially the rest of the bill is mostly talking about fines for selling without a license, some additional definitions, and then some language pertaining to the cash funding process. So,
Representative Malika.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, we continue to stakehold on this. And so we do have some amendments that we would like to run. First amendment we would like to run is Amendment L008. I'd like to move Amendment L008 and ask that it be properly displayed. L008 is too? Cancel that. That's to the committee report.
Would
Okay.
you- Yes, we're on the bill. Yes, so was that
That was to the committee report, Madam Chair, and so.
So would you like to withdraw?
Yeah, I'd like to withdraw that amendment.
Madam Chair, I'd like to ask for a brief recess.
The House will stand in a brief recess. Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I apologize. I forgot that we were not in recess, so I was waiting for your gavel.
I apologize.
I move delay over House Bill 1001 to the end of the special orders calendar.
Is there any objection? Seeing none, House Bill 1001 will be laid over.
Oh, never mind.
Mr. Rando, please read the title of House Bill 1183.
House Bill 1183 by Representative Mullica, Senator General, concerning continuation of certification of nurse aides by the State Board of Nursing in connection with implementing the recommendations contained in the 2019 census report of the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Representative Mullica.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1183 and the Health and Insurance and Appropriations Committee report.
I have just a Health and Insurance Committee report.
Okay.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the Health and Insurance Committee report, we talked about the bill. I don't believe we made any amendments, but I would ask for a yes vote to the Health and Insurance Committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Health and Insurance Committee report is passed. To the bill, Representative.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1183 is a sunset for our certified nursing aides here in Colorado. Obviously, this is an important profession to the care of the people of Colorado. They play an important role in our healthcare system. This bill allows them to continue to operate here in Colorado, and for that reason, I would ask for a yes vote, please.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1183? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1183. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. House Bill 1183 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to lay over House Bill 1216 until Monday, March 9th.
Is there any objection? Seeing none, House Bill 1216 will be laid over until, as requested by the Majority Leader. Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to proceed out of order for immediate consideration of House Bill 1072.
Mr. Rando, please read the title of House Bill 1072. Mr. Randall.
House Bill 1072 by Representatives Arndt and Sane, House Senator Sonnenberger Bridges, concerning a requirement that the University of Colorado study potential uses of emerging technologies to more effectively manage Colorado's water supply in connection with amending an appropriation conditioned on the receipt of matching funds from gifts, grants, and donations.
Representative Sane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1072 and the Appropriations Committee report.
To the Appropriations report, Representative Arndt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In appropriations, we just made sure that the money was coming from the right place for this bill. I urge an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the Appropriations Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The committee report passes. To the bill, Representative Sane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And while my colleague is preparing an amendment on the bill itself, I just want to say this particular bill builds on a law that we actually passed quite a few years ago, creating a tributary groundwater monitoring network for the South Platte alluvial aquifer. Now, obviously, this is going to benefit the entire state, but the certainty we're going to have in using some of these emerging technologies to provide certainty on water rights transactions, and for the folks to have more confidence in the data on which those transactions are based, are going to have a huge effect in more properly managing our water. And we may actually start keeping some of that water in Colorado that we can keep. Right now, we are still sending water above and beyond our compact out of state. So this is going to help not only keep the water we need to use because we are a growing state, but also it'll reduce the waste in water. It also will reduce the waste in some of the transactions that are going on, but would also provide more certainty for some of our growing municipalities as well. And I'm talking just about as long as I can until Representative Art finishes with this amendment here, but I can assure you this is a fantastic bill, and anybody else who would like to come up right now and speak on this and say, yes, this is a great bill, that'd be wonderful.
Representative Art. Representative Art.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have at least one amendment on this, second reading amendment. We'd like to have L002 displayed, please.
Would you like to move L002?
Yes. I would like to move L002.
And ask that it be properly displayed.
It is properly displayed. Please proceed. Representative Arndt.
It's okay. It's okay.
We're going to speak very slowly while our drafter redoes L003. So what this does, no, this just says that anything under this bill needs to take into account our prior appropriation doctrine in Colorado. Belts and suspenders.
That's right.
Is there any further Representative Sane?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And obviously, a very important prior appropriation. That's what our whole system is based off of. And we were really thinking about our senior rights water holders on this particular amendment. So I ask for a yes vote on the amendment.
Is there any further discussion on Representative Sane?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And to that point about the amendment, some of the emerging technologies, because I know you're asking because you're giving me the signal, that could be blockchain, telemetry, improved sensors, and advanced aerial observation platforms that can improve the monitoring, management, conservation, and trading of water, enhance confidence and reliability of data of underlying water rights transactions. To this point, we will definitely try to protect the rights of senior rights water holders by making sure that we promote those use of the technologies considered, and especially taking into account the existing system of prior appropriation under Title or Article 15 of the state constitution and Colorado water law.
Is there any Majority Leader Garnett?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1072 till the end of the special orders calendar.
Any objections? Seeing none, House Bill 1072 will be laid over as requested by the Majority Leader. Ms. Durando, please read the title of House Bill 1223.
House Bill 1223 by Representative Escar, also Senators Todd and Heisey, concerning the creation of the Rural Arts Grant Program.
Representative Escar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1223, the Appropriations Committee report, and the Rural Affairs Committee report.
To the Appropriations Committee report.
In the Appropriations Committee report, we appropriated the funds.
Is there any further discussion on the Appropriations Committee report? Seeing none, the questions before us is the passage of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes still have it. The committee report is passed. To the Rural Affairs and Ag report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the Rural Affairs report, we had to make an amendment to make sure that we had policies and procedures required for implementation spelled out.
Is there any further discussion on the Rural Affairs Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the Rural Affairs Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee report passes. To the bill, Representative.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this bill is a great bill for economic development in areas outside of the Metro Denver area. Many of you probably have artists who are trying to make a living in your communities. This is a grant program to help support those artists not only live in your areas, but thrive in your areas, therefore investing within your communities as well. I think it's a great bill, but I do have one amendment because I listen to my colleagues when we have conversations in committees, and there was a question about the safety clause. And contrary to popular belief, some of us also understand what the safety clause is for. So I would move Amendment L003.
Amendment L003 is properly before us. Representative.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We had a lot of conversation about why there was a safety clause on the bill, and honestly, I thought it was important to get things moving and to get this money available for people in rural areas as soon as possible. But after lots of conversation and some thoughtfulness, I decided that we can go ahead and take the safety clause off. So I hope that brings some of you who had some issues on board with this good bill. I ask for an aye vote on the amendment.
Minority Leader Van Winkle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My sincere thanks to the bill sponsor for this amendment. I think it's wise. I think it's one of the best amendments we've seen all year long.
Representative Pelton.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative. I think that was maybe one of my suggestions along with some other colleagues, so I deeply appreciate you bringing this amendment, and thank you.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L003? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Amendment L003. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Wow, that was a yes. Amendment L003 passes. To the bill, Representative.
Good bill, vote yes.
So, Representative Pelton.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and just to explain my no vote in Rural Affairs, I have a concern around the rural definition because the definition is a little bit more than what I think of as rural. So I think there's going to be some metropolitan areas and places that, might cabbage onto this money and make lesser money for rural, true rural and frontier. But with the safety clause amendment, I am a yes now.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1223, Assistant Minority Leader Van Winkle?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I do have some concerns with the bill. Anytime we take general fund and start siphoning it off into this place and that place, into this project and that project, whether rural or Front Range or whatever, I do have some concerns. And then also, it's, not quite $54,000. It's all $18,000 of it to personnel services, $32,000 to grants. And I know the purpose of the bill is to allow more artists to live and work in rural Colorado, but $32,000, I know it will be a tight year this year. I see that number going up a lot in the future, and frankly, it's just moving money from the general fund, which we use to fund everything from roads, bridges, our schools, our safety departments, moving it in places that don't necessarily help all of Colorado. And so for that, I ask for a no vote.
Any further discussion on House Bill 1223? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1223. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. House Bill 1223 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1230.
House Bill 1230, Representative Singer and Larson, also Senator Fields, concerning the continuation of the Occupational Therapy Practice Act and in connection with the recommendations contained in the 2019 Census Report by the Department of Military Agencies.
Representative Singer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1230 in the Public Health Care and Human Services Committee report.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the committee report, we made some compromise amendments that basically brought the different professions in alignment with each other to make sure we weren't crossing over into our mental health statute or anything outside of our mental health statute, including physical therapy. And with that, members ask for your aye vote on the Public Health Care and Human Services Committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the Health Care Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the Public Health Care Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee report passes. To the bill. Representative Larson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is the continuation of the Occupational Therapy Practice Act. Essentially, we clarified some definitions. We largely stuck to the DORA report. As we referenced in the committee report, we made a couple of clarifying definitions, but essentially this is a continuation. And please vote yes to keep occupational therapy alive and safe in our state.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1230? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1230. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. House Bill 1230 still passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1307.
House Bill 1307, Representatives Harrod and Soper, Senator State and Bridges, concerning banning the use of a panic defense unless the party can show its relevance to the court.
Bill in the committee report.
Representative Harrod.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1307 and the Judiciary Committee report.
To the committee report.
The Judiciary Committee made a small change, added queer. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee report is passed. To the bill. Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Amendment L002 and ask that it be properly displayed.
L002 is properly before us. To the amendment, Representative Pelton.
Soper.
Or
Soper.
Soper. I'm so sorry.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate the compliment. Members, what Amendment L002 does is we heard some questions or some concerns in Judiciary Committee that one voice that was not in the room happened to be the defense bar and the public defenders, and that any time we're restricting the use of a certain defense for assault or murder, that certainly the defense bar should have some sort of a weighing in. And what we're doing with this amendment is we, as bill sponsors went out and we talked to our stakeholders, we asked them to give us their concerns and to work with us in creating this amendment here. And so we would ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L002? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L002. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. L002 is adopted. Is there any further? Representative Carver?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I commend the bill sponsors for reaching out to the defense bar, getting their concerns. 1307 actually deals with two different parts in the criminal code. Pages 9 through the end of the bill do a long overdue clarification in our criminal offenses. Assault in the first degree, assault in the second degree. In addition, the murder in the second degree in dealing with heat of passion defense. And this bill quite rightly calls out what I think courts, at least the judges that have been acting responsibly, have said for a long time, that you cannot argue as part of heat of passion your knowledge of somebody's sexual orientation as being in any way an element or justification in acting in heat of passion. So those provisions of 1307 are absolutely right on the money. The part of the bill where we particularly sought additional input from defense counsel are on the other part of the bill, which deals with that part of the bill called Section 704 that states the various detailed rules of self-defense. And these rules apply across the board, across the entire criminal code. And I note that the previous amendment, which I think was helpful, dealt with some additional language changes to 704. And obviously the defense bar, every case has its own unique facts, and the defense bar wanted to make sure that they could bring all the relevant facts to bear, and certainly some of the language of the amendment dealt with that, which was helpful. I think the difficulty on page 4 of the bill is the additional carve-out under subsection 3, which I think needs more clear definition, somewhat ambiguous in application. And so that aspect under 18-1-704, the additional language there, I think still has some challenges. And so I appreciate the members' efforts on this bill.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1307? Representatives, I'm going to call you Representative Pelton because I love him so much. Okay, fine, Representative Sandridge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, a lot of times when you come to the General Assembly, you're shocked about certain bills, that there's a need for certain bills. I'm just utterly shocked that a judge would allow this type of defense, and that a jury would actually buy this type of defense. I can understand many years ago, you know, with severe discrimination. Just a question are there examples in Colorado in the present era, maybe in the last 10, 15 years, where this actually took place? And if there isn't any examples in the last 10 or 15 years, are there any examples in the United States in the modern era? Thank you.
Representative Herod.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, I actually wrote this bill initially thinking that we were going to get rid of some obsolete statutes. So members, for those of you guys who are kind of tuning in now, this bill bans the gay and trans panic defense in Colorado. It's something that is still on the books right now. This bill would actually very much limit that defense, though of course some evidence can be entered into the record. But we shouldn't be saying that because someone was afraid, and when they realized someone was trans or gay, that they were able to harm them, to use that as a defense. I mean, I'm not going to tell you what would happen if I was able to use this defense every time a straight person hit on me, being a gay person. But the defense doesn't go the other way. It only goes one way. So, but then, to your question, Representative Sandrich, I realized after working with my friends, the DAs, that they're actually using, this defense is actually being used today. And though we might not see it on the news, it's because it leads to acquittals and the records are sealed. Or it's used in a plea. And so our good friends, the DAs, have actually themselves have had these type of defenses used in cases that they were in, which is why I think they were so interested in working on this bill with us. And while we can't discuss the details of cases, because a lot of them have been sealed, if you can believe it, it's still being used today. So I am really proud to have been able to work with the DAs, with the defense bar, and with the urban fellows who came and actually helped my office research this summer, along with my partner in crime, Representative Soper, to get this bill passed and to get it written in a way that still allows for defense and still allows for evidence to be entered, but that doesn't excuse someone for killing someone simply because they are gay or trans. So I ask for a yes vote on this bill.
Representative McKean.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. And Representative Sandridge, I had the same question. Are you serious? Have we actually had defenses mounted on this? And because we can't get sealed transcripts of those cases, I was told, yes, we have. Yes, I heard those cases. And yes, people were either acquitted or convicted of lesser charges because I was panicked. So when I heard this bill, my first thought was, okay, has this happened? And it shouldn't happen. Bigotry should never, ever be the reason why you say I can do something that is dramatically against the law, and especially in a crime against another person. So that was my first answer. My second was, okay, what does the defense bar have to say about this? And just as Representative Herod sometimes operates in strange waters, all of a sudden I'm wondering, hey, what does the defense bar want to tell me about this bill? Because that's an important voice in the room for what it is that we need to consider. And so I was a no in committee because I hadn't heard their voice yet. What we hear in their voice is the amendment we just passed. Does it do everything that I think we ought to do, which is to absolutely 100% say you cannot solely base your defense on being surprised? No. Am I still concerned that there might be a cautionary tale of an assault pushing somebody away saying, hold on, I didn't know everything that was going on here? There's a small amount of that, but truly this bill, I think, has been perfected to a large degree through this amendment. I think it is a bill that says we should not allow a defense to be a physical injury against another person solely on the basis of a moment in time where we do not make the conviction based on a sole defense of I was shocked, I was surprised. But I would also like to say that part of this discussion is not just the conviction, but the sentencing, where frame of mind and everything else can go into it. So it's a good bill. Thank you for your work on the amendment, and I'll be a yes vote today.
Is there any further discussion on House Representative Soper?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I was sitting here and realized that while I'd moved the amendment, I actually hadn't really spoken on the bill. And being a prime sponsor, I just wanted to say a few words about this bill. When the DAs approached me about this bill, I was certainly stunned to learn that we had gay and trans panic defenses in our law. The idea that you basically could have a free pass at murder or violent assault based on the sexual orientation of the victim. And that's not something that we should have in our laws. After all, other minority groups are victims of hate crimes, and those defendants aren't using the excuse of the victim's race, religion, occupation, national origin, etc., to justify their unexcusable behavior. I did want to point out as well that the bill does not affirmatively ban the panic defense, what it does is it raises the bar. So you can always describe the victim's behavior, what they said, what they did, and how it made you feel, what your mental state was to develop that mens rea as far as what your response was. And that's still in law. So I just want to reassure members that we've been very respectful of the laws of our great state in crafting this bill and understanding that certainly throughout the trial, a defendant is still going to be able to describe how certain elements made he or she feel and why it caused them to react a certain way if it did result in murder. The other thing is it's kind of similar to our rape shield laws, that being able to raise the bar and have that quick hearing beforehand before we're putting the victim's sexual identity on trial is also very important and a crucial element of this bill. So I just want to thank my co-sponsor, Representative Herod, for being involved, and particularly the DAs and the defense bar for also helping us out. Thank you.
Representative Tatone.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I also want to rise in support of this bill. This is a bipartisan bill that's common sense legislation that's really just preventing crimes from occurring to people that are vulnerable. And this is just going to prevent that from happening and making sure that the people that are being assaulted or murdered are having justice for them and not becoming a victim of their own identity. So I just wanted to just say that this is a great bill. I applaud the sponsors for the bill and would urge you to vote yes.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1307? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1307. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1307 is passed. Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bills 1072 and 1001 unamended until Monday.
Are there any objections? Seeing none, both of those bills will be laid over unamended as requested by the Assistant Majority Leader. Majority Leader Garnett.
We didn't rise and report, right? You did. I move the committee rise and report.
You have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, the committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Mr. Randall, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Madam Speaker, your committee of the whole basically report has had under consideration point House bills being said there are mixed following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1003 is amended House Bill 1005 is amended House Bill 1130 is amended House Bill 1183 is amended House Bill 1191 is amended House Bill 1194 is amended House Bill 1196 is amended House Bill 1208 House Bill 1212 is amended House Bill 1223 is amended House Bill 1228 is amended House Bill 1230 is amended House Bill 1236 is amended House Bill 1267 is amended House Bill 1294 is amended House Bill 1307 is amended House Bill 1345 is amended passed placed counter third reading final passage. Senate Bill 136 is passed or revised placed counter third reading final passage. House Bill 1001, House Bill 1072, and House Bill 1216 are laid over unamended until March 9th, 2020, retained and placed on the counter.
Let's see. You have heard the. Oh, Representative Jackson. You all have heard the motion. There are no amendments at the desk. Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members, please vote. Baisley, Byrd, Catlin, Holtorf, Humphrey, McLaughlin, Melton, Williams. Please close the machine. With 47 aye votes, 17 no votes, and 1 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. That brings us to announcements and introductions. Any announcements? Representative Esgar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. JBC will be meeting at 12:30. Those of you who wanted to come and hear what we're doing, we're starting at 12:30. Thanks.
Okay. Representative Soper.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have spoken with the minority leader and the majority leader and request to be excused next week for surgery.
Oh my goodness. I guess so. Representative Pelton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I've requested, talked with the minority and majority leaders, and I've requested to be gone March 23rd and 26th.
Your request is granted. Representative Humphrey, are you just hanging out? Okay, any other announcements or introductions? Seeing none, Assistant Majority Leader Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the House stand in recess until later today.
Do you know what? We're going to actually read some reports. So you all may leave. We're going to read reports. Mr. Randall, please read reports of committees of reference.
Committee on Education. After considering the merits, the committee recommends following House Bill 1240 being as follows and as submitted before the Committee on Appropriations. With favorable recommendation, House Bill 1276 be postponed indefinitely. House Bill 1283 be postponed indefinitely. House Bill Committee on Finance. After considering the merits, the committee recommends the following: Senate Bill 114 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Senate Bill 134 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Committee on Judiciary. After considering the merits, the committee recommends the following: House Bill 1287 be postponed indefinitely. House Bill 1296 be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. Senate Bill 85 be amended as follows, and as amended be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation.
Printing report.
Chief Clerk.
Printing report will be printed in the Journal. Delivery of bills to the Governor.
Chief Clerk of the House of
Delivery of bills to
Representatives.
the Governor will be printed in the Journal. Now, Representative Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Now I move that the House stand in recess until later today.
Seeing no objection, the House will be in recess till later today.